Welcome to Love Lattes, the podcast designed for women who are ready to stop settling and start living a life full of authentic love, confidence, and real connection. I'm your host, Victoria, the self-love scientist, speaker, and coach, and I'm here to help you reclaim your power, deepen your relationships, and fall unapologetically in love with yourself. So grab your tea, your latte, or your favorite beverage, and let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 1-year anniversary episode of Love Lattes. I am so excited and just so surprised, really, that a whole year has gone by of sharing lessons, speaking with experts from therapists to recovery to relationships. This has been a fantastic year, and I'm so grateful that you've been here alongside with me. Back in 2024, August, we kicked off the Love Lattes podcast in DC with the help of really extraordinary beings motivating me and my podcast team helping me out on all the bits and pieces. We started off for Love Lattes in the top 200 podcasts for relationships in the UK, and now we're ranked at 80 for relationship podcasts in the UK. So let's keep it going. I would love to know what has been your favorite episode so far. If you have a favorite episode, comment below or even share on Instagram. I would love that. Oh my gosh. It's wild. A year has gone by, and now I am recording this episode in my new home, sipping on this energy drink that's not Celsius, which is usually my thing, but it's called Bloom, which is iconic because Bloom is the name of my transformational coaching program. Remember to check out the site because you can get a free 15-minute call with me so we can kind of break down what's holding you back from your innermost potential. Speaking of holding back, aside from wanting to celebrate, and as you'll see for the month of August, I've got a lot of wonderful specials for the podcast, including resharing one of our most popular episodes. And then at the end of the month, Bryn, an amazing therapist, is going to read my astrology chart. So fun deep dive episode there. But when I was, as I said, a part of this episode, I wanted to share some really great questions when it comes to transitions, really, because, I myself am sitting here recording this episode in my new home. And when it comes to moving, which sometimes we tend to treat even this like big things, big changes so minorly that we don't give ourselves the time to really sit with it. So part of this episode, I wanted to share 3 great questions you can ask yourself when it comes to any transitions. And that includes a job change, a relationship change, moving. Because no matter where you go, the old lessons, the patterns, the behaviors, they're going to keep following you unless you are willing to answer these questions. Now, these questions I've kind of put together because even throughout the past year with this podcast, with work, and traveling across the US and abroad, I noticed certain things, especially at one point I was considering moving abroad, and I was in Paris for a brief period, and I recognized that my life in DC followed me to Paris. They are one and the same. If for me in that moment, if I just look closely, I'm like, oh my God, I could, be happy here, but then I also could run into the same problems. So, how can we avoid these same problems? Let's grab yourself a pad and a pencil, have a sip of your drink, and let's dive on in. So, first question, when it comes to a new change in your life, and again, this is really great for you're getting ready to make a decision, or perhaps you just did it. So, first question, what am I leaving behind and what am I creating space for? I combined these two together for the first question because this is a big one. As the saying goes, your new life will cost you your old one. And so before you can get started on this new exciting endeavor, you need to acknowledge what has run its course, what relationships are ending, what parts of the job are just not lighting you up? What is it about where you live that's pulling you down? Think of it as energetic baggage. Like, do you really want that weighing on you? No, because guess what? If you even consider, like I said, if you're trying to move forward and start a new job, you could be still experiencing those people pleasing problems. Or if you're dating, you could end up, as much as you'll say to yourself, oh, I won't settle for breadcrumbs. And the next thing you know, you're running into the same type of dates because you don't know how to say no and you're not ready to let go. And so this question allows you to create space for something better. Ask yourself again, question number one, what am I leaving behind? And what am I creating space for? This is a big one. Now, question number two, does this transition align with who I am becoming? Not just who I have been. Babe, wow. Please don't forget that you are an amazing human being. And when it comes to changing and development and growth, you are not the same person you were a month ago, a week ago, and even a day ago. Let me tell you, a year ago when I started this podcast, I was, very naive and super happy and triggered that I went hard. And now I know even better to kind of space things out so I can still enjoy recording the podcast. But aside from that, it's time for you to step in as your future self. I'm not saying you have to just, new fully character development and change the clothes, change the routine. No, no, no. Start small. Who do you want to become? Do you know how fast it is? You can transform your entire self by picking up these new habits or asking yourself, what would my future self say and do? Now, that also needs to line up with these changes. Is this transition, this new job, this new move, this new relationship, is that aligned with what you want for yourself, like who you want to be? Is this like part of the character development, right? Think of like in games, is this a addition, right? Is this adding to you or is this taking away? This is a great opportunity for you to check in with the body, do some digging around. How does this alignment actually feel? Does it create a pit in your stomach or does it create excitement? And, even fear of the unknown, because you're like, I don't know why, but I just feel excited about doing this. Or I don't know why, but like, I just know that this isn't for me. That's a good thing. Those are good feelings. It's different when it feels more like a fight or flight experience in the body. And we have talked about that in the past as well. So, question number two, does this align with who I am becoming, not just who I have been? Major character development. You are allowed to change who you are as many times as you want. You don't have to wait for a midlife crisis. You don't have to wait till you're 30, 40, any age. You don't have to wait till a breakup to have a transformation. You can transform today. You can change today. Before you change, or even like go to the Pinterest or go to the journal, just understand that this is your life and this is about you. So is this decision aligned with who you want to be? And finally, we're down to the third question. How's it going so far? How are you feeling? I know these aren't like basic questions like, does this location make you happy? No, it's actually really important to be intentional and more in depth when it comes to moving forward, you know? Otherwise, this is how we, again, if we don't have an intention, and the same thing I learned when it came to dating, what was my intention? If what I wanted, was my actions lined up with what I actually wanted? So, question number three, what support, tools, or practices do I need to move through in order to feel confident with this decision? Now, I like to think, you know, whatever's meant for me comes to me easily and effortlessly. Whatever's meant for me is for me, right? That's great. I love that. However, even though it's meant for you, and maybe like the job or the relationship, it just works, or the move just like, hey, this is the place for me because everything else was just such struggle and it didn't light me up. So when I say, what's not meant for me won't be meant for me, right? That doesn't mean you're still going to experience an emotional feeling towards it, right? This question is very similar to the first question. This is going to cost you, this new life is going to cost you your old one. And guess what? That's going to feel really hard because nobody likes to, people kind of attach themselves to the memories of what was or what could have been. And you have to say goodbye to, let's say you're moving forward and you're dating and you're like, I'm no longer going to do the bare minimum. Like, I am looking for a partner who will book the dates, hold the door, buy me flowers, share his intentions, and is the bread maker, blah, 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 whatever your thing is. Or you need to let go of certain friendships because they're not, leaving you lit up, they're draining you, and the behaviors are just no longer a part of who you want to be. And any kind of change there, again, think about like that character development. This is going to feel hard. It can leave the heart feeling achy. It's like, damn, like I'm ready to propel myself forward. You're ready to launch, but that means not everyone's going to be there. And that's a crappy feeling. However, there are there are support and resources available for you. Right before I moved into my new home, even before like getting and moving, I made an intention that I wanted this move to be different. Because before, when I moved to DC, I was like gun ho, like I manifested my apartment and I was like, hell yeah, I'm at the top. But all I did for like the first year and a half was burn out and work. And then finally, towards the very end, kind of like most of for the past year, really, I started recognizing, I was like, oh my God, I've never really done the fun things or really built a community here. I just was very independent, but I was also traveling a lot too. So that's my own character flaw. But I wanted to be more intentional about this new location and really getting to know it and like creating my version of home here. And so I joined groups, and there are support groups out there when you're moving or going through a breakup or, grieving loss of friendships or jobs or unemployment. There are so many communities out there who will hold space for you. There are so many people out there. I've had amazing experts on this podcast who hold space. I myself also hold space, especially when it comes to, if you have recently gone through a breakup or a divorce, it can feel like, there's a party that's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm independent. But at the same time, like, that's fucking hard. And you don't need to go through any kind of change, whether it's job, move, or relationship status or loss of relationships by yourself. You are entitled to, feel your feelings and also sit with it, but that doesn't mean you have to be alone forever, right? And I will highly, highly recommend, finding your people, building those relationships, asking for help. You know, you got to be, this third question about moving through these transitions is all about being patient too. Because even though this change or this opportunity or this partner came to you like, this worked out well, this is everything I ever wanted, but then it's also going to cost you in some kind of way. But that doesn't mean you have to navigate this by yourself. So allow yourself to grieve the may haves and could haves and no longers because no transition has to be navigated alone or without intention. And that's what this episode is all about. It's how we can leave the old behind, closing up those doors, leaving things to rest so you can embrace what's ahead. So you can start your new character development. You can launch these new things with a clear conscience and no regrets. Now, there might be like those pings of like sadness because of, maybe where you were or who you were with, there were good parts. But again, in order for you to submerge and allow yourself forward and to get more, you have to create that space. And that's what these questions are all about. Yeah. So How is that settling? How's it sitting with you right now? I really like these questions because I think one of the biggest moments for me was when I was in a staying over abroad. It just kind of hit me. I was like, holy cow, this is just like DC. And I get to kind of make that what it is, right? And I didn't want my next move to feel like my move to DC, where I just came in and hustle culture the fuck, right? I'm like, no, I deserve to have fun and enjoy, and you get to know you along this journey. Now, as we wrap up today's episode, I'll do a quick little recap of the three questions that can help with transitions, whether it's a job, relationship, or move. Question number one, what am I leaving behind? And what am I creating space for? That's a big question. Number two, does this transition align with who I am becoming, not just who I was? Character development. And finally, number three, what support or tools do I need to move through this with confidence? Giving yourself grace and acknowledging the fact that this may have come to you easily, and I love that for you. Maybe it was a little harder, but you still got to that point. But that doesn't mean you have to navigate this alone. There are so many resources out there. And if you are struggling with a certain change or anything, feel free to reach out. There are people here for you. The universe wants you to succeed, and this is your one life. Now, as we wrap up today's episode, I have some exciting news. First and foremost, if you have been a Love and Lattes listener, we are not done yet. We have so much more exciting content coming. We are finishing out season 2 with a couple more episodes to wrap up the rest of this year. Season 3 will kick off in 2026, and I am so excited to have some special guests coming, especially some really big players out there in the intimacy realm. So more on that. If you want to know how things are going, you can always follow me on Instagram. And if you have a guest recommendation, feel free to shoot me a message. I love connecting and growing this relationship. Next, hello, my LA listeners and my New Yorkers. I am coming for you in September. PCOS Con is happening for the month of September, and I have been invited to speak on boosting confidence, intimacy, and self-love with PCOS. So I will be in LA and New York City, also kind of running around virtually for the month of September. And I will link the conference in the show notes. If you want to grab your tickets, be there, meet me and several other amazing speakers, or join the virtual sessions and learn a lot more. PCOS AA is an amazing nonprofit organization that I am very proud of to be. And finally, as we wrap up today's episode, I just want to say again, I'm so grateful for the positive feedback and the messages I get from specific episodes. I'm so grateful for you, my amazing, amazing listener, babe. You are my MVPs, along with all of my guests. I have met some amazing, powerful people, from moms who are fighting custody to relationship therapists. I just every episode, I myself am learning something, and I know you are too. So I just want to say thank you so much, and I hope your coffee or latte, or if you're doing energy, it is just as delicious, and you are amazing. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Have the best day.